one of the things that happens when you give your life to Christ as a business person, the first thing that God does to you is, when you declare you're now his son, what he does, the very first thing he does is he gives your business a garment. He gives your business a covering. Then he gives your business a brand identity. And then he gives speed to your business. That means that every other profit that you had not made before knowing him, he gives you now speed to even make that profit in a day. So when you give your life to Christ, you also give everything that belongs to you to Christ. And that includes your career, your business, your children, and everything that concerns you. Referring to the story of the prodigal son, after he had gotten his inheritance from his father, he went away to a far city, and spent all the money with prostitutes. And after the money was over, he looked for a job and worked in a piggery, and he was eating with pigs. And he realized, in my father's house, he gives his servants food, and he gives his servants an income. And me here, I'm eating pigs, and I'm not even getting an income. So I will just return to my father and work, so that he could give me wages. So one of the things that you will realize, that when you come to your senses, the very first thing you want to do is to create something. You want to work. You want to earn for your sweat. When you come back to the realization that you're lost. So in the kingdom of God, there's no laziness. You have to work. You have to create business. You've been made to be a creator. You have to do something with your hands to create an income. So there's no laziness in the kingdom of God. You have to work, but he gives you the grace. He gives you the grace to diligently work. And he rewards you when you're asleep. And that's the amazing thing about loving God and being at the feet of Christ, is that he rewards you when you're asleep. When you're a hard worker, he rewards you when you sleep. So in Luke 15, verse 22, it is in the story of the prodigal son. When he returns back home, the first thing his dad gives him is, he gives him the best of the robes. Then he put a ring on his finger. He gives him an identity. You're my son, you're welcome. I've put an identity in you. And then the other thing he does is he puts shoes on his feet. Shoes represent speed. So he restores back to him the speed that he ought to have had. So one of the things that God does to you is he'll cover you as his son. When you give your life to him, he will cover you as your son. He will give you an identity by putting a ring on your finger. And then he will give you speed to do things, extraordinary things. He turns things around. Every wasted years that the cacaworms had eaten, he restores that back to you. And that's the beautiful thing about being a biblical thought leader, is you begin to think the way our Father thinks. He rewards you, he covers you, he motivates you, and he's a generous God, he's a generous Father. You see, a lot of businesses flop because we go into businesses with a prodigal son mentality, and that cannot get us anywhere. That will only make us miserable. Son, he ran away so that he would not be accountable to anyone. So one thing that you must have in mind is to be accountable to somebody, especially when you are running a business. When you have funds that you're investing into something, you must be accountable to somebody. The prodigal son eventually realized that you actually have to work to earn money, and you have to diligently work to earn money. And so he vouches for his father's home, where people can work and they can earn and sleep decently. And he runs back to his father's house, that he may only get a job as a servant, so that he can earn money and sustain himself and at least eat bread. But this is a mentality, of course, that we still have to get out of, yeah, earning to get bread. And that's what actually derived him out of his father's house. But when he comes back and his father is trying to put out his mentality of earning to wanting to work to get bread. So his father first offers him a covering, a robe. You know, in Luke 15 verse 22, his father first gives him the best of the robes and then put on him a ring and puts on his legs speed. So the dad is trying to change his mentality of how he's supposed to clothe, how he's supposed to identify, and he's also giving him the strength to have speed to move on. So one of the things that God the Father does to us when we return back to him, he gives us a covering. He gives us a garment of the best of robes. He gives us a garment and a robe to cover our nakedness, to cover our foolishness, you know, to take away every form of dark that is in us. So he covers us in honor. And the second thing he does, he gives us an identity. And that's something he also does to your business. He gives your business identity. He gives your business recognition. And the last thing he does, he gives us shoes. You put on shoes. When you put on shoes, you are ready. You are ready for speed. You're ready to run or to walk. So the father of the prodigal son wanted to change his mentality. You know, he's coming with the mentality that I just want to work and find a place to sleep. But the dad is telling him, no, 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 no. We are not starting with there. We are first going to change your mindset so that you're able, the next time we give you this money, you're able to handle it like your father will.